In today's SOD TV's Warcraft Logs update, we spotlight the Shaman spec tank player, Nightsong, hailing from the Summers Guild on the Living Flame EU server. Nightsong has remarkably secured the one spot for an astonishing 30 times, proving their dominance in the gaming realm. Hunter melee player Tree Ranger, also holding the one spot 30 times, is giving Nightsong a run for their money. Warrior Fury player Sapato and Druid Guardian player NMX, both with 21 times at the top, are not far behind. And let's not forget rogue tank player Nerf Assassin, who has hit the pinnacle 20 times. In the balanced druid category, Honeycow from Link Logs continues to dominate with a DPS of 1142.9, maintaining the top spot for over a week now. Following closely, Innate from Humbertism holds steady at second place with a DPS of 1110.0. Hootie Hoot rounds out the top three, delivering a DPS of 1099.1. The competition remains fierce among the remaining top 10, which includes Fuel, Sinti, Blazarus, Crushy, Uatism, Hotmiss, and Centripetal. In the Feral Druid category, BGT from the Guild B Tribe continues to reign supreme with a DPS of 1517.3, maintaining this position for over a week now. Close on their heels as Parse Police from the Guild Silver Saga continues, with a DPS of 1498.7. Rounding out the top three is Lawsuit, also from Silver Saga, continues, boasting a DPS of 1473.8. Notable mentions go to the remaining top 10 players, who are Giny, Fshi, Africantiger, Ambatukam, Laboba, Swagnuts, and Endef. In the Guardian Druid category, NMX from the Guild Chinese Textile Machine has held the top spot for over a week, consistently delivering a DPS of 958.4. Following closely behind is MyNuts from the Guild HUSH, with a DPS of 874.3, and PumpyX from the same guild, securing the third position with a DPS of 867.1. The remaining top 10 players, who continue to challenge the leaderboard, are Cadet D, Sudoapjit, Kiljarapulai, Judah, Disahau, XTK, Emis, and Ankler. In the Melee Hunter category of World of Warcraft Classic, Tree Ranger from the Guild Cartel continues to hold the top spot with a DPS of 1556.9, maintaining this position for over a week now. Following closely, Olgi from the Guild Dendansky Metode secures the second place with a DPS of 1514.9. The third spot is claimed by Bald Morocho, delivering a DPS of 1514.2. The competition remains fierce among the remaining top 10 players: Johnnysons, Resorth, Yanglachi Chi, Zatara, Anix, and Cornshot, each striving to climb up the ranks. In the Ranged Hunter category, Makes from Link Logs has held the top spot for a week with a DPS of 1477.5, followed closely by Krusty Mill from ADHD with a DPS of 1455.1. The third spot is held by Isoled Out from Footlong Party Dog Sod with a DPS of 1432.2. The remaining top 10 players in this category, known for their impressive stats, include Multigummies, Floorberries, Disio, Orlandodomer, Fragmaster, QT, and Spicy. In the Arcane Mage category, Sao Yesi Fei Shai continues to dominate, holding the top spot for the past week with a consistent DPS of 780.6. Following closely behind is Masakas, maintaining a steady DPS of 726.1, and in third place, we have Burnett with a DPS of 724.6. The remaining top 10 players making their mark in this category are Dilpu, Quan Shui, Moonfox, Digidoo, Magical Paul, and Waxo, and Cuties. In the Fire Mage category, TDMZ continues to hold the top spot for the 9th consecutive day with a DPS of 1198.7. Hot on their heels, Chef maintains the second position with a DPS of 1196.2, and Delano rounds out the top three with a DPS of 1195.3. The competition remains fierce among the remaining top 10 players, including Arcane Terror, Chia Zhu Jia Yi, Rainy, Mellowish, Freak Prince, Tuma Charmer, and MFX Lol. In the Frost Mage category, Silvership continues to hold the top spot for the 10th consecutive day with a DPS of 1108.1. Following closely behind, Obi from Link Logs maintains the second position with a DPS of 1061.9, and Watch Tom rounds out the top three with a DPS of 1039.4. The remaining top 10 players for today are Juicy, Wixard, Shangming Yunai Zen Mei, Just Like Fire, Dejopa, KFC, and Clankum. In the Protection Paladin category, Fought from the guild Chuanshan continues to dominate the leaderboard, maintaining the top position with a DPS of 1,299.2 for over a week now. Close on his heels is Heir Mei Sai, also from Shangming Lai Yan, with a DPS of 1,291.7. The third spot has seen a change with Cruzesity from the guild Heaven's Gate stepping up with a DPS of 1,236.8, replacing yesterday's third place holder, Boysothic. The remaining top 10 players in the category are Boysothic, One Punch, Fakiaz, Duaz, Serpali, Farvold, and Kazurk T. In the Retribution Paladin category, the top 3 players continue to hold their positions. Leading the pack is Geju, who has maintained the top spot for over a week with a DPS of 1,430.7. Following closely is Qiyu with a DPS of 1,429.4. Rounding out the top 3 is Peteri, boasting a DPS of 1,415.0. The remaining top 10 players, who are also making their mark in the game, include Pal Wang, Ryox, Elf Chapo, Baby Toxic, Miley Cyrus, Vidan, and Genix. In the Shadow Priest category, Shen Yuanji and continues to dominate with a DPS of 1,029.3, maintaining the top spot since May 10, 2024. Following closely, we have Zhangyu Wuzhu with a DPS of 983.9, and Shengdu de Liangxin not far behind at 977.9 DPS. Rounding out the top 10, we have the notable players Waga, Theodrin, Hejop, Flayed, Dog, Tachankin, and Kasupianim. In the DPS Rogue category, Ajanin from the Guild Cartel remains unbeaten at the top with a DPS of 1,565.0, holding this position for over a week now. Following closely, Karina from the Guild Rundikyo secures the second spot with a DPS of 1,547.5, and Enwich from Link Logs rounds out the top 3 with a DPS of 1,545.5. The competition remains fierce among the remaining top 10 players Wee Bufurks, Naranghe, Sylv, Yushui Dai, Iwanel, Body Snatcher, and Tunai Iu. In the Tank Rogue category, Suan Fu Tao Tao continues to hold the top spot for the 5th consecutive day with a DPS of 1,118.0. Following closely behind, Wool maintains second place with a DPS of 1,098.6, and Nerf Assassin rounds out the top 3 with a DPS of 1,096.4. The remaining top 10 players, who are also making their mark in the Tank Rogue category, include Nova, Zombie, Bubo Tank, Sketcher, Oshenta, Heis, and Pestosaurus. In the Elemental Shaman category, the top 3 players have shown impressive stats. Silvership leads the pack with a DPS of 1,108.1, followed by OB with a DPS of 1,061.9, and Watch Tome with a DPS of 1,039.4. It's worth noting that Releaks, who was yesterday's top player with a DPS of 1,303.6, has held their position for an impressive 10 consecutive days. Rounding out the top 10 for today are Juicy Juicy Wixard, Shang Mingyu Nai Zinmei, Just Like Fire, and Dejopa. In the Enhancement Shaman category, Bozidor from the Guild Summers holds the top spot for the 4th consecutive day with a DPS of 1,726.6. Easy, with a DPS of 1,641.5, and BGTs, with a DPS of 1,637.0, follow closely behind in 2nd and 3rd place respectively. The remaining top 10 players for today are an NA, Brigand, Fakeban, Schnaps, Ayapetisham, BDD, and Mahatwo. In the Tank Shaman category, Night Song from the Guild Summers has held the top spot for over a week, consistently delivering a DPS of 1,147.5. Close on their heels is Rolpi from the Guild Consortium with a DPS of 1,131.0, and in 3rd place we have Vistalo from the Guild Conspiracy, clocking in a DPS of 1,126.9. The competition remains fierce among the remaining top 10 players, who are Iwo, Runsulsa, Dandan Qiu, Deer Sippy Cup, Loof Bjorgen, and Walks. In the DPS Warlock category, Firamatic continues to dominate the leaderboard with a DPS of 1,259.1, holding this top position for the past week. Close behind is Strawberry from the Guild Chocolate Milk, boasting a DPS of 1,255.0. Rounding out the top 3 is Xiao Jin Xiai Shang Yu Hen with a DPS of 1,215.6. The remaining top 10 players for today, each showcasing impressive stats in their own right, are Taco Kiz, Jegyo Riang, Amayato Opencoil Wayne Warlock, and Pantslock. In the Tank Warlock category, Opencoil continues to hold the top spot for the 10th consecutive day, boasting a DPS of 1,177.4. Close behind, Kelsis holds the second position with a DPS of 1,060.8, and Enigmzex rounds out the top 3 with a DPS of 1,045.0. The remaining top 10 players for today, bringing their own unique strategies to the game, are Lobster, Gianrandomdo, Dinosaur, Gravwalker, TikToxic, GigaProMax, and Moment. In the Fury Warrior category, Sopato from Ego Guild has been leading the pack for over a week with a consistent DPS of 1,801.5. Close behind, Atasmos from Chinese Textile Machine Guild maintains a DPS of 1,773.7. Rounding out the top 3, HK from Xuanchang Guild delivers a DPS of 1,747.4. The competition remains fierce among the remaining top 10, including MFX, Duki, Amadayana, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ataz, Joho, and Maltpio. In the Protection Warrior category, the top 3 players remain unchanged from yesterday. Dominating the leaderboard for over a week now, Duo Luo Siju from the guild Xuanchang holds the number 1 spot with a DPS of 1,620.9. Following closely behind, we have Bodil, who's been consistently delivering a DPS of 1,567.5. Rounding out the top 3 is Agony, also from the guild Xuanchang, with a DPS of 1,557.3. The remaining top 10 players for today are Suffrix, OGS, Butang, Seachart, Threat, Kabir, and Jeta,